Welcome to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. Most know me as the voice of Petco Park and MLB The Show. My name is Alex Miniak, and I'm the host of this show alongside the three-time All-Star. You know him as Heath Bell. Heath, we've had a heck of a homestand at Petco Park. Padres taking 5 out of 6. We're going to dive in here because we got a lot to talk about here on this episode. 5 out of 6, 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. What did you like in the series this past weekend?
I just like how there's so much, good vibe in San Diego. There's so much good vibe that it seems like this is a World Series championship team. So, I'm saying it early, so that's all I got to say.
Well, you did call Padres sweep going into the weekend. We didn't get a sweep, but we took 2 out of 3. That's pretty close as far as predictions. As far as predictions go, that's a winner for me. So if you're going to say series, I'm down. I'm believing you on that.
I love the series too. It's always about the series and not about the sweep, but I was just excited. We started off good, winning the first game, and then second game, didn't matter, the top of the lineup and bottom lineup, middle lineup, everybody's hitting the ball. So we just had some, a little bit of bad pitching, but it happens. And then we had some good pitching the next day. So it'll be all right.
The number I want to point out here, baseball, of course, all about numbers. I want to keep it simple. Sweet 16. That's the number I want to focus on. That's Luis Arraez's hit streak at the end of the weekend, 16 games. And also Padres pitching, tossing 16 Ks on Sunday. Cease, Estrada, Morgan, and Suarez combined for it. Again, I'm going to ask you, the former pitcher, the All-Star, how you feeling about that?
I'm feeling great. Dylan Cease, I think, after the trade talks are over, this and that, he could just sit back and relax and just go out there and pitch. And I think that's kind of been the cloud over him the majority of the season. So it's good to see him just get back to form. And I feel like he's just more relaxed now because the trade deadline's over and he didn't get traded. And he's just like, hey, let me just go pitch. And look what happened. Put up a bunch of eggshells. So it was great to see.
9 Ks to be exact for Dylan Cease on Sunday. And you know what? I want to talk about one of the lesser known relievers, one by the name of David Morgan, hailing from Mission Viejo. David, over 29 innings pitched, over 21 games, has a 1.86 ERA. He could be the silent assassin of that bullpen.
Well, there's always one guy that nobody really talks about that just is really good and really consistent. Maybe because he's not pitching right with the main times, or there's he gets overshadowed by other stars, and just slowly creeps up, and before you know it, he becomes one of those guys, and his name will pop out, probably come September/October, and we'll be talking about him. So it's fun to see him kind of stay under the radar and just dominate. And before you know it, his name's going to be on the radar, and it'll be awesome.
Is he one of those guys that could be potentially a fan favorite like Jeremiah Estrada has become?
I think so. I think he's eventually, just give him another month or two, like basically down the stretch, he does some good things. Yeah, big fans are going to love him all off season and then coming into next year.
I think he's a heck of a story. And again, one of those under the radar prospect types that comes up, finds a role, and starts making a difference in that bullpen, a bullpen full of big names. And we've had some additions over the last few days as well. Some Padre fans got to see a guy named Mason Miller picked up at the trade deadline. On the line with us, we have my dear friend, Annie Heilbrunn. Annie, you and I are usually talking at Petco Park in the salad bar line. It's good to have you on the podcast, Bleav in San Diego Baseball.
Alex, Heath, thank you guys both so much for having me. And just to touch on David Morgan, I had a chance to sit down with him for about 15 minutes or so the other day and talk about a story, from an NAIA school to pitching in the big leagues. He's a converted shortstop. I mean, so many odds against him that he was able to overcome. And I know, Heath, you got to love how this guy pounds the strike zone. Like, he really attacks hitters.
Yeah, I really love, he throws really hard, but I just love how he's like, hey, I'm going to throw a fastball. Let's just go. You grip it and rip it, and let's see who's going to win that day. That's kind of my MO back in the day. And a lot of guys don't do that anymore. So it's great to see Miller just, come up and just pound the strike zone and say, hey, try to hit this, buddy.
Yeah, and again, he's a guy you can root for. We touched on Mason Miller coming up. Everyone knows him for his 101 fastball. It touched 103 on the radar gun. He's been known to touch 104. Obviously, he is the prize of this trade deadline. Annie, what insight do you have? What can Padres look for when they see him on the mound? Besides all that flash he gives us, what can we expect?
He's someone who he's self-described as simple guy. He really likes the simple things in life. He likes to keep his routine fairly simple. He just likes kind of almost like a quieter guy. So far what we've seen in the clubhouse is a little bit of a quieter personality. But I think that's what makes him so good, right? Is like he gets on the mound and that's where he does his loudest talking. And then the fact that he went through his diabetes diagnosis, 19, 20 years old, he found out that he had type 1 diabetes or juvenile diabetes, and he put on so much weight. It completely changed the way that he pitches. He was started to be able to throw that kind of heat that he throws now. So he's someone who's really in tune with his body. Like he really figured out, okay, this is how I need to eat. This is how I need to sleep. This is how I need to make sure that I keep my mental and my moods and everything just to make sure that I'm the best that I can be out on the mound. So someone who's gone through a lot, quite a bit, so far in his young lifetime, but certainly understands what he can do out there on the mound. And it'll be fun to see how the Padres deploy him.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting seeing. It's a great story, and Miller's going to open up in a couple weeks, start talking to you and talking to other guys and other reporters rather, and we'll probably get some other cool stories out there. So just give him a little bit. It's a fresh start. Especially Oakland. AAA, and are you going to go to Vegas? Are you not going to Vegas? Blah 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 blah. Now you're in a playoff race, so it'll be fun.
A
He'll open
playoff
up
race in front of 44,000 every night this
every
weekend.
night.
That's a homecoming.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Heath, you're so right too. Like, you got to give these guys a chance to sort of soak it all in, figure out their place. You can tell that they are all sort of looking around like, who is the bigger personality? Who kind of leads the way on this? Who does this or that? And everybody's just kind of getting used to everyone. And that's to be expected. I think that Mike Schultz and this team does as good a job as any in terms of integrating guys and making sure they feel welcome. But still, it's going to take a little bit for them to feel fully comfortable.
So out of all the new guys, I have a question. Who is probably the most fun? And then who's quiet? And in a couple weeks or in a month will probably be, talk of the town, kind of like Kim was back in the day where just everybody loves him.
Oh man, this is a great question. I think that they're all really likable. I mean, Ryan O'Hearn, it seems like he's someone who's pretty funny, and he's sitting in between Jackson Merrill and Nick Pivetta in that section. And these guys, Gavin Sheets is over there as well. These guys have become kind of the jokesters. They're always, talking and laughing. So I have a feeling his personality is going to be pulled out quite a bit. Laureano, very quiet so far, but very intense, going about his work, just kind of wanting to get down to business. But I have a feeling his personality will come out too. But Freddy Fermin, a quiet kid. I call him a kid, he's young, but someone who I think is really thoughtful. He talks every time you compliment him on something. His answer is, as I've told you before, I am a grain of sand in this whole operation. I'm just trying to do my part, help this team out, do what I can. And you can tell the way he's going about everything is just really intentional with trying to learn the pitching staff, trying to learn the differences, the variations in pitch comm between here and the Royals. So I think he's someone that as time goes on, you're going to see his personality come out a little bit, but just a really thoughtful guy so far.
Heath, for you, what's it like working with a new pitcher, rather, somebody who's just showed up on your doorstep, and you guys got to get to the hill and start going at it? What is that like? What's that adjustment like?
When you have a good catcher, a good pitcher, you're basically going to say, hey, what do you like doing? This and that. As a catcher is going to ask the pitcher, and then you kind of talk and tell you what pitches you like. But then you go, how do you like to set up this and that? I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's all about pitching. But there's some catchers out there that like to say a little arrogant, as in, no, just listen to me and you'll be a great pitcher. And it's like, look, I got to execute the pitch. And if I don't like how you put your glove, some guys don't mind putting the glove on the ground and then sticking it. Some guys want the glove right where the target is. Some guys want like show me the target and then put your glove somewhere else. So, guy in second or, cameras can't see. And when a catcher really understands pitchers, then I think you work really well together. And when you get a catcher that's kind of like, well, hey, we're going to do it my way, you kind of have some issues, this and that. And I don't see any of the Padre catchers being like that. So I see them all wanting, especially it's tradition for the Padre catchers all to be like, it's all about the pitcher out there. I want to get a hit or two, but it's about how the pitcher pitches. And if the pitcher pitches great, then, hey, maybe I'll take some credit, but otherwise I'm not going to. So, but it's all about the pitcher, and those are the best catchers out there. And I feel like the Padres have those.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, and Annie, you can probably back me on this, there's no issue in terms of communication between our catching staff and our pitching staff. They've done great this season.
Oh, Alex, you're absolutely right. And Heath said it great. And you could tell that there's a mutual respect between both sides in that clubhouse. And I was listening to Mike Schultz a little bit earlier today, talk a little bit about the pitch comm and how really that's been kind of the more challenging thing to get used to, because for every organization, they have different buttons for different things and different buttons to get to a new chapter of pitches or calls or whatever. So I think him, Mike Schultz said that he's taking time to really try to get used to pitch comm and the buttons and making sure that that he's all set. But I look at even some of the relievers who talked over the weekend about, I think he caught Jeremiah Estrada back to back, and the first night maybe shook off one or two, and then the second night didn't shake off any. So I think it's one of those things, you just get out there and you start going through it and you learn each other pretty quickly.
All right, I want to move off the mound and from behind the plate to out in left field. It appears there is some stability. After all, his name is Ramón Laureano. He comes over from the Orioles and takes over left field, and he debuts over the weekend with a triple. That's a bat we like to have in the order.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I just think it is so exciting for the San Diegoans to watch a San Diego Padre team. Basically, from the top to the bottom, everybody can get a hit. I mean, the last 2 months, we've kind of been struggling getting hits, and it just seemed the bottom of the lineup, everybody was like, pitch hit this, do that, do that. I mean, I've been to some games where they just were frustrated, and now it's like 1 through 9 is, there's going to get a base hit or do something exciting. So it's pretty fun right now.
I think it's great. It looks like Laureano, veteran guy too, someone who's played with some of these other guys in the clubhouse, knows the other guys in the clubhouse, is able to just jump right in. And now you can deploy him and Gavin Sheets as needed. And you've got some pop there off the bench as well for whoever's not playing or starting in left field. So I think that you made your lineup stronger, no doubt about it. You made the bottom of the lineup stronger for sure. And I know I'm going backwards here a little bit, but who is someone I forgot? Nestor Cortes. We just met him the other day, and he seems like a very funny guy. So hopefully he's able to have a little bit of a renaissance with the Padres as well and get back to form. He was injured most of this year, but last year was really good and has been really good throughout his career. But Laureano, yeah, just him and O'Hearn just seem like really good additions to the lineup.
All you got to do is just 1 or 2 road trips. Boom, this team will mesh.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You can have fun at home, but really it's when you go on the road, you don't have family, you're not going back to your home, house. Everybody's in the hotel, maybe go to the lobby and hang out or someplace, and that's where you really mesh. So I'm really excited to see next homestand.
I think, too, by the way, Annie, you weren't going backwards at all. I was going to touch on Nestor Cortes. If anything, you're a mind reader, and that's one of the reasons I love you, and that's why it's great to have you on the show. I think he could possibly be that Martin Perez, like a guy that we were looking for last year who comes in and fills that void. Experience, former All-Star. And if you have that at the back of the rotation, you're never going to worry about that 5th or 6th day. And I think that's a key void to fill.
Absolutely. I cannot overstate how important Martin Perez was to this team last year. And when he was selected at the trade deadline or traded for, there was a lot of consternation. Like, this guy, he's not the greatest. He's not this or that. He ended up being exactly what you mentioned, Alex. Like, he was able to go out there, give you 5 or 6 innings every time, able to keep the team in the game, most nights, give your team a chance to win, and became very, very important. They didn't use him in the postseason, but they needed him to get there. They wouldn't have gotten into the postseason without him, and so you look at that the same way with Nestor Cortes. Like, who knows? Maybe he'll be a huge piece of the postseason if the Padres get there, but maybe he'll also just be the piece that helps you get to that postseason and helps keep you in it. And really likable guy, really great personality. So I'm excited to get to know him a little bit more.
Yeah, Cortez is one of those unsung hero guys. He always gets you where you need to be. And where the Padres did this past, trade deadline, I loved it because it wasn't a bunch of huge names. It was like, hey, we need a spot here. We need veteran guys. We need guys that are solid, good baseball players. And I think we went out and got good baseball players. And I think that's what we were lacking for most of the season.
Well, I'm ready for the playoffs now.
We got a couple months left.
How do we push that button on fast forward, Annie, and just skip right to October? Because that's where I want to be. I'm like, let's write this thing. Let's go. Because I'm feeling pretty good. And I know the faithful are too.
I'm telling you what, it's exciting right now. As both of you mentioned, it is exciting to watch this team. You know that there's going to be some ups and downs because it's baseball and it rarely goes the way that it just looks like it's going to go on paper. But that's part of the fun of it. I think you look at this Padres team and you cannot say that they don't have a great chance to get where they want to go. They're going to have to execute. They're going to have to do it. But they've got the makings. And when you look at the rest of the teams around the league, there's quite a few teams that also got better at the deadline, but the Padres are right there with them. The Padres are have as good a chance as any. So I think August and September are going to be a lot of fun. Heath, this too. I mean, there's so many teams too that are out of it now. And I'm interested to see how they play against the Padres. Some of them, you think, oh, well, they're out of it. They made all their trades. They have no one left, but sometimes these guys find also a little bit of a second wind and they find a way to compete against some of these teams. So you really can't take anything for granted at this time of year, but there's some exciting baseball around the corner. That's for sure.
Hey, I again, great chance. I can't wait to see it. Annie, thank you for joining us. I never get a chance to talk to you again outside of press dining, and this is a fantastic thing here for you to join us to talk about the trade deadline and all our new guys coming to San Diego. And I would personally like to applaud you because you have been the first guest here on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. We're 5 episodes old, so thank you for being our first guest.
I am so excited to be your first guest, and what a pleasure to be here. I love and respect both of you so much. So anytime you'd like me to join, just let me know, and I'm happy to jump on and look forward to listening to you guys every week now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great segue. You can also find us on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. Just click that follow button. You can find us on iHeart, and you can find us on Odyssey too. You just look. Just look, Bleav, Bleav in San Diego Baseball. You will find us. We're everywhere, Heath. People just have to find us. And then we will have a much, much bigger party here for Annie the next time she comes back. All right, we got to take a quick break. But coming back, we're going to set it up for the fan poll. We want to find out what our Bleav in San Diego Baseball followers think. Who's their favorite guy? What are they looking forward to the most coming up in the second half of the season? That's coming up after this. Welcome back to Bleav in San Diego Baseball. My name is Alex Miniak alongside the 3-time All-Star Heath Bell. Heath, it was great to talk with Annie, get a little insight into the new guys, both personally and professionally. They seem excited to be here, and we are excited as we head down the home stretch towards the postseason. Now, I know we've got a lot to digest because we've had 8 new players come in this week, 6 at the big league level. Left field, behind the plate, on the mound, in the bullpen. Out of everyone that has come to San Diego, who are you most excited to see for the next 2 months?
It's hard to believe because there's all these guys come in. As a reliever, I'd like to say Miller, but really deep down, the more I think about it, I'd like to see how our players, like Tatis and Jackson Merrill and Conworth, how are they going to react? How are they going to be like, dude, we got some help. I don't have to carry this team anymore, and Bogart. So I'm really excited to see how those guys the next couple months. it's almost like you got, you know, a little bit more wind in your sail. So, you know, just the excitement, you know, when Tatis, it seemed like going in the All-Star break before he was announced, was a little tired or, you know, frustrated. And I know it wasn't hitting well, whatnot, but he got, you know, announced as an All-Star, and I think a little pep in his step. And then after the break, you just see it seemed a little bit more happy. So, and then it's just excited to see all these moves and the players panning out. So those are that's really what, you know, Jackson Merrill, Tatis, Cronenworth, Bogarts, how are they going to get a little, you know, extra win in their sail, because they're excited now and they can see that this team's going to go somewhere because the front office is backing them, you know, going out and getting what they needed. So that's really what I'm looking at. But, you know, if I had to pick a new guy, I'm going to pick Miller for the simple fact is I'm a reliever. He's a reliever, you know, so it's one of those things that, you know, I got to go with the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's a great pick. And I love your perspective on how new guys can also boost the existing guys by taking some of that pressure off. I think that's key. It's a little less stress. They can focus a little bit more. They're not going into every situation having to do all the work, like you said. I like that. And I think that, like you said, when we were talking to Annie a couple weeks on the road, you start to see everybody's role start to shake out. They start gelling. They start meshing. Everybody's heading towards the finish line together. Unified mission. Again, Mike Schill, second half kind of manager, puts the pedal to the metal, foot to the floor. Here we go. And I think that's a great place to look when you say that, just how that's going to help this team as a whole. What I'm really interested in is left field. I've watched the revolving door in left field, and to see a guy whose experience, like Laureano is, settle in there. He got a triple his first weekend at Petco Park. You know, that's great to see. Already comfortable at the plate. Starting to learn left field a little bit more, making some grabs out there, learning who his mates are out there between Jackson and Fernando. You know, Manny out there, Xander out there. Those guys have got his back. I think he's going to settle in real nice, and he's going to provide a cog that we haven't had all season out there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, we want to know from you, Friar Faithful, at BleavinSD.com, BleavinSD.com, who you're most looking forward to seeing at Petco Park from our new guys, the 6 that we have at the big league level. You never know. It could be 7 soon. Could be 8. Who knows as we get further down the stretch. But we want to know who you're looking forward to the most out there. You can vote there. Again, BleavinSD.com. And you can learn a little bit more about each guy as well. If you didn't catch it with Annie, we got a little bio about every guy up there as well. So coming up, in our next episode, Boston comes to town. Heath, I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you pitched at Fenway Park, but I also announced at Fenway Park. And it was a long road to get there, and I'm going to share more of that story coming up on our next episode of Bleav in San Diego Baseball.